Hey, what is up everybody, and welcome back to another video. I just wanted to make a quick video to discuss whether gravel as we know it has been ruined forever because the UCI is going to start having gravel races. The answer to that question is no. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. So seriously though, people really seem to be kind of freaking out about this latest UCI announcement. So I thought first things first, let's read what the UCI has actually said they are doing with gravel racing. So I'm actually going to read this, but basically the UCI put out a statement on September 22nd, and the title is "The UCI Innovates in the Off-Road Disciplines." If you don't know, the World Championships at the time you're watching this just happened yesterday, the Road World Championships for the UCI. And so this statement came out of the meetings they're having. They started off talking about cross country, short track, a couple other things. And then the second paragraph is this: still on the subject of innovations, a new discipline, gravel, will join the UCI cycling for all international calendar in 2022. From next year, the UCI will organize, in collaboration with events organizer Galazzo, a UCI Gravel World Series consisting of events enabling athletes to qualify for the UCI Gravel World Championships. This discipline combines elements of road and mountain bike and takes place mainly on unsealed roads, gravel, forest tracks, farm roads, cobbles, etc. Races in the UCI World Series will be mass participation events. Oh shit. That guy straight would have just run me over. He wasn't even gonna move. It then goes on to talk about other cycling disciplines and diversity and inclusion and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, that's the extent of the statement so far the UCI has put out. So these are, let's start off, new races, a new series, that's what it sounds like, that lead up to a world championship. And the key being they are mass participation. So, you know, everyone loves to talk about the spirit of gravel this, the spirit of gravel that. So it looks like they are trying to keep some of that intact. To me, this is the spirit of gravel. Going out and exploring on a bike with my friends, having a beer in the woods, and all that kind of stuff. You know, big events are cool. I do a couple local ones. I'm not saying if I, won the lottery for Unbound and had the time to go and do it, or the Mid-South, I wouldn't. But to me, that's not what gravel is. Gravel is the main point of gravel to me is not signing up for events. It's going out and riding my bike with my friends. So anyways, I think some people should read that statement before they make a bunch of comments because people are blowing everything out of proportion. So right now it does not sound like the races that we know are going to be a part of this, but that doesn't mean they can't be down the road. I think of the example of Strada Bianchi, which was, originally one of those La Roica events where you dress up in vintage clothes and you have to have a vintage bike and they actually check to make sure none of the components are after a certain era and all whatever type deal. So, and then that race was so beautiful, it grew into a pro event, and they still have the other event. It's just separate. And so, who knows? Maybe down the road, some of these things will get swept up into the UCI, but that'll be up to the organizers. And let's not pretend like these events haven't already changed. They aren't the little, small, you just show up and there's a group of people riding gravel roads. Like, you already, like as I mentioned, have to win a lottery to get into some of these bigger gravel races. The front is invited pros and fast racers and is a total race just without enough rules. Sports need a governing body. People love to beat up on the UCI and they've made tons of mistakes. They deserve a lot of the criticism they get. But the simple fact of the matter is, there's just that huge scandal because that one woman, and I can't remember her name, had soigneurs basically passing her out her aid, her food, her nutrition, whatever, so she didn't have to stop. The people she was racing against didn't have that. That's hardly fair. If you're racing for big prize money as basically a professional, then there has to be some kind of rules, right? So it doesn't really bother me that this is happening, and it doesn't mean that all our little events have to follow whatever rules the UCI end up setting out either. Everyone's worried it's like the UCI has just taken over gravel. It sounds like they're creating something entirely new. As someone who likes to watch pro racing, I'll be interested to see how it looks. I'm excited to watch some gravel racing. I love watching the spring classics on the cobbles and all that kind of stuff. So to me, I'm just not offended or bothered by this whole thing. And I also do think it's fair to criticize the UCI for a lot of the problems they've had, from some of the overly pedantic rules, like, people love to pick on the sock length one, or to being complicit, the huge things like in the doping scandals of, however, 20 years ago, and Lance Armstrong and all that. Yeah, there's definitely problems with them, but let's remember, any major organization on a sport you like gets criticized, whether it's the NFL when they do a rule change. I just think us cyclists notice it more because we actually ride bikes, whereas, people who watch the NFL don't necessarily play football. But yeah, not to give the UCI a pass, and if this whole new series sucks, I'll be the first to criticize it. So that being that, like, the UCI takes a ton of criticism, but when I see, like, the manager of Legion in LA, like, saying, like, F the UCI, like, fine. I mean, we know they don't like it. They don't have to participate. They don't get involved in the World Tour. That's not their thing. And, even from friends in our Discord, we've been having a conversation about it, and it's not personal, it's a good conversation, but people saying, like, the UCI ruins everything they touch. No, they don't. I am so excited for the World Champs on Sunday in Flanders. They look like they're going to be amazing. It's been an amazing week there already. Paris-Roubaix coming up in a week. The Tour de France, one of the biggest sporting events in the world. Yes, the UCI has many problems, but they don't ruin everything they touch. If you don't like road racing, you don't like road racing. It's not because of what the UCI has done. I actually think they have had some positive impacts, keeping bikes to look like bikes and stuff like that, and not just become crazy. So it's only the team with the most money can win and stuff like that. But regardless, I just think that the idea that the UCI can't do anything right also is not true. Another thing I keep seeming to hear too is that, like, our equipment is going to somehow change. That if the UCI gets involved with hosting races, that the only bikes that will exist are gravel race bikes. I just think that's not true. One, the major brands, that's kind of already what they do, right? They do racier stuff. And, at the front of Outbound in the Mid-South, people are riding race gravel bikes, right? The Aero Bar thing, all of that stuff. I just don't think this is a concern for us. I think there is, like, more choice in bikes than ever. We got the QDP brands, All City and Surly and Salsa, who I think are going to keep making bikes that a lot of us want. They're going to be the more supple, little more laid-back geometry type bikes. Some of the ones that are leaning towards the mountain bike spectrum. I just see more diversity in gravel bikes. Velo Orange, they're polyvalent now, can take 26-inch tires. Rene Hurst, 26-inch wheels. Rene Hurst has released a set of 26-inch tires. We have Ultra Dynamico, Terravale. I just think there are brands that are going to fill the needs we want. And the other thing I brought up too is now there's that new American Classics brand that is doing cheap tires direct to consumer, $35 tires, and they have a 650B by 47 millimeter tire. So just to me, the idea that we're not going to be able to get any of the gear we want just because the UCI has a gravel racing series, I don't think is true. I even heard Russ have those concerns about the big brands only going to make racier and racier gravel bikes. Fine. If you don't want a racy gravel bike, don't buy one. Buy one from one of the makers who makes the bike that you want to ride. Vlogging can be frustrating. So yeah, I just think we should be honest with ourselves. The cat has been out of the gravel bag, to use a stupid expression, for a long time now. Gravel bikes are the biggest growing part of the segment. Every gravel ride you turn up to is going to be bigger the next year than it was the year before. This isn't a secret. This isn't some small thing. Gravel's huge. Riding off-road is huge. Just turned out we all like riding where there aren't cars. We like exploring. We like finding new places. We like riding bikes that are far more comfortable with wider tires. I even like my gravel bike better on the road than most of my other bikes. Yeah, it's the way it is. It's the way things are going. Like I said, other things will come in to fill the void if we want something different. I look forward to watching these. I hope they're televised. I want to see them. I think it'll be fun. Yeah, it's not the end of the world. Gravel roads aren't going anywhere. Ride however you want to ride, like always. All right, guys, I will see you in the next one.